The salvage squad have spent 2 weeks restoring a rusting 50-year-old Centurion tank in time for one of Britain's biggest military shows. Military Odyssey 2001. And it's very odd indeed. Hundreds of people have come to the Kent County Showground to reenact 2,000 years of military history. Our tank has been into the competition for Best Allied Heavy Armour. Nick's called away to do the commentary for the show while the squad get busy preparing the tank for the judges. I haven't actually told the squad yet, but I've had a bit of a result tracking down Mark Foster, the guy who wrote the letter that Claire found in the tank. I tried contacting Mark using the address on the letter, but he was no longer in the army. However, an old mate from his regiment gave me some leads, and I finally tracked him down working for a bank in the West Country. Mark hasn't seen the tank for 10 years, so I asked him to come to the show to reunite him with an old friend.
Hi, mate.
Hi.
Remember the letter?
Oh, yeah.
This is the man.
This is the man.
Nice to meet you, mate. Wicked.
We've got here Jerry, Axel and Claire.
And so behind us,
all your work.
Behind us is a tank.
Somebody you might recognise.
I mean, is it anywhere? Have we got it near enough?
Spot on, I would say.
Spot on.
Yeah.
It's exactly as it was, apart from all the gubbins that we used to have, and you know, the...
Just like, is that your personal gear and that?
And,
actually, talking of which, personal gear, I believe that is yours.
That's how you trace me.
That's how we find it.
So we found you. You left it behind in the map box.
It's there. Do you want a stamp? I'll post it on the way out if you want.
You haven't read it, have you?
I haven't read it. I haven't read it.
You're rather emotional, you know. Sometimes.
I didn't read it, mate. Did you actually write it in the tank?
Yeah. Yeah.
We actually met a guy who was in the same troop that this was in.
Really?
In Suez in 1956, and it kind of, for a brief spell, it actually led the way.
Yeah.
In the Suez campaign.
Well, this was the first tank off at Al Jabail as well in the Gulf.
Really?
Yeah.
So
it's done its job then over the years, hasn't it?
It's done really well, and as I say, it went all the way up from the border through to Iraq.
I mean, how much confidence can you have in a 40-year-old tank that you was in at the time?
You'd be surprised, actually, in support of the American forces.
Right.
And they're in their multi-million-dollar tanks that's stuck in the sand, and this whole thing's chugging away. There you go.
I feel like the tortoise and the hare.
Absolutely,
Did they take the mickey because you were in a 40-year-old tank?
They did originally when they used to see us chugging away, but of course, you know, because they've got automatic transmissions and all computerised systems and all that, and here we are, pulling away, and see you, lads. There we go. So everybody's looking at us, and, you know, we're the first in, and then all the Americans come charging through.
So if you're first in, then are you? You're taking everybody. When you're saying looking at you, you mean like
looking at you like
that. Well, that's very pleasant, isn't it?
Absolutely, yeah. So you know, you're number one, and then all of a sudden, as I say, the Americans came through and
brought up the rear, per usual.
took the glory, shall we say. Took the glory.
And listen, I don't mean to be rude here, Mark,
Right.
but there's a prize being awarded for the best vehicle here today.
Right.
And it's about 2:30, we're just coming up for it now.
Yeah.
So do you fancy commanding us all the way over
Absolutely, yeah.
there?
Excellent.
Yeah?
If I can remember how.
The tank is competing against 2 armoured personnel carriers, an Abbott self-propelled gun, and a couple of small Stuart reconnaissance tanks. With Axel at the controls, the Centurion lurches into action. During the Gulf War, the tank was not only the first in across the minefield, but also the last out, clearing up the carnage left by the conflict. Mark left the army on the day the Gulf War ended.
It was very strange finding that letter of yours.
Yeah.
Very strange.
I remember the day I wrote it. Loads of rockets going off over our heads.
And you actually, I mean, your handwriting's not bad, but you actually sat down and wrote a letter.
We were moving at the time.
I think this will now be the last move we'll make before anything will happen. We picked up a couple of supplies like bread and a couple of drinking mugs. When we asked how much, he just let us have them. So we gave his children some chocolate and sweets. You should have seen the kids, they thought it was Christmas. I hope you're well, thinking about you all the time. Hopefully we'll all be back together.
Long time ago.
Just takes you back, you know, and you, just the smell of it reminded me of it again all those years ago.
Do you think it was the right thing to do to restore the tank?
Yes, I do. Yeah, and I think a lot of people have given a, you know, a lot of their lifetime to it. No, it's gone through too much to just lock up and put away.
I'm really pleased you said that. We were dreading you turning up and going, actually, you should have just sold it for scrap.
No. No.
Thank you.
Well played, mate. Go on. Yeah.
In just 2 weeks, the squad have resurrected the tank's engine with a modern electronic ignition, restored the cramped interior, fitted several hundredweight of additional armour, and given the whole thing a nice beige paint job. Everyone's exhausted, including Nick. I asked him what he thought of the squad's efforts.
Centurion has got to be the hardest one to work on. It's a nasty old bus. It's just everything's awkward. Yeah. I mean, we've modified this in many ways now, and it's a usable, serviceable tank, and I find all sorts of little jobs for it.
Well, thanks for letting us do it anyway.
Yeah. They've all done a nice job, worked hard.
Time for the final verdict from the judges.
And last in these classes, by no means least, and one of the heaviest, the heavy Allied vehicle, an outstanding restoration, the Centurion Avery tank by Salvage Squad.
Next Monday at 8, the squad attempt to restore a rusting 1960s Bristol car. Well, next on 4, Jimmy McGovern's drama documentary, Sunday.